Yes, New Mexico. Neither new nor Mexico, but a friendly, human-centered place, as evidenced by our story.
I want to share something I think is kind of interesting about New Mexico's ex-governors. At one point, if I'm not mistaken, when I lived in Santa Fe, there were about 6 or maybe 7 governors and ex-governors you could run into around town at any given time, whether just on the sidewalk or the grocery store, whatever. And none of them that I ever saw were ever accompanied by any armed, forces, any armed people, guards or anything. They were just around town, very friendly, hello, like that. And to go down the list, David Cargo, he's the earliest on this list. He's gone, of course, but he was a Republican, but he was a very weird, maverick kind of guy, wonderful guy, very interested in people. He would be a liberal Democrat by today's standards, I am quite sure. A big reader. He set up the library, arranged for the library in Mora County up here. He liked Mora County. Anyway, I went to lunch with him one time. It was great fun. Bruce King was governor 3 times. He's a Democrat. And this is not going to be the story about, I'm not going to tell the story here about Bruce King and my mother that I've told so many times. But you can find that on this video by this title that I have on YouTube and Facebook. And I'm going to get back to Bruce King because that's mostly what this story is about. Anyway, Jerry Apodaca, he's still alive. I used to see him around town when I lived in Santa Fe. Toney, Anaya, likewise. Garry Carruthers was a Republican governor, and I never saw him or met him. And Garry Johnson, a very friendly, approachable guy. I interviewed him a couple times, once before he was governor and once after he was governor. And Bill Richardson was our most recent governor, other than the current governor. And I met him once or twice, and one of them was he invited me up to his office to play him a song about New Mexico that I had written. And he seemed to like it, and he was tapping his foot, and he offered to help with it, but nothing came of that. But I appreciated the effort, of course. And Susanna Martinez, the current governor, Republican, I saw her one time out at a club called the Lodge of Santa Fe, watching a very far out one-man show by Robert Mirabal. And she was alone. She didn't have any guards or anybody with her that I could see. Good-looking woman, by the way. And I'm sure she can take care of herself. I'm sure she was packing, so she doesn't have to worry too much. Anyway, here's a story about Bruce King. Bruce King knew a family that we also knew from here, Las Vegas. And there were a couple deaths in that family, unfortunately, and my mom and I went to a couple services at a private home, small services for these people, and the governor was there, and he said hello, like that. And one day I'm walking along, I forget where I was in Santa Fe, but we crossed paths like that, and he says, "Hey, do you want to come up to my office and see me?" And I was a little worried because I used to imitate Governor King on like radio and at banquets and so on. He had a very unusual way of talking. And I started worrying immediately, what would he want to see me for? Was he going to chew me out for imitating him or what? But so I called 2 people I knew in politics to see if they could allay my fears about what I thought it was about. Anyway, I called David Salman, who was a friend of ours. He was from right up near here. He was a very respected senator, I think majority leader. He was retired by this time, but I asked him, what do you think Bruce wants to see me about? I think he wants to chew me out for imitating him, and David said, I don't know. He really couldn't help me. Strangely enough, I also called John Dendahl, who was the Republican kind of real firebrand in the state at the time. Always on the Democrats' ass, in other words. And he said to me, I asked him, and he says, no, I think Bruce is just a nice guy. I think he wants to probably just ask you what you're up to and see what he can do to help. And it turned out John was right. I went up, I made an appointment, I went up. Bruce King was there with his assistant, his aide, James Lewis, a black guy, who went on to other state offices, state treasurer and so on. Bruce King was not one of these rednecks. He was a rancher, but he had none of that redneck stuff going on. He was just a very inclusive, easygoing guy. And so I went up, I made an appointment, I went in. He said, well, I just wanted to find out what all you're up to, you know, creatively, and figure out what I can do to help you maybe. So John Dendahl was right. And we talked, and I'm not sure anything came of that meeting either, but it was very sweet of him to offer. So again, there's no big climax to this story, but you might be interested in the story I did tell about Bruce King and my mother. Here's the title of it. It's on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.